In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the Kino 4-foot fluorescent bank like the one you see here. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to set up a C-stand. So before I lift this C-stand up, what I need to make sure is that all of the knobs are tight. That way, when I lift it, nothing's going to come loose. So I lift it up. To open the legs, you pull the unlock mechanism and then rotate it, and then that will lock the base in place. And then I can lift it up and place it on the ground. The head here is where we're going to be connecting the Kino. So here's the 4-foot Kino. To connect it to the stand, we're going to need the plate that has a mounting mechanism called a lollipop. Here it is. And what you do is you just place it into the hole and rotate it until it clicks in place. And then it is secure. To place it on the stand, you're going to look for one of the holes in here, and if you need to loosen it, you can loosen it and then rotate it. You're going to look for a hole that's actually smaller than this rod. Before you mount it onto the stand, you want to make sure that the cable is to the bottom, especially if you're going to be mounting it vertically. So this one is a little bit smaller. I loosen this, and I'm going to put that into the slot, and that slot goes all the way through. And after it's in, then you're going to tighten that down, and that's going to keep it from coming loose. And I can, if I loosen it a little bit, I can adjust the angle, or I can do that by loosening the lollipop. And then that allows it to kind of pivot freely on this ball joint. To open it, just pull the sides open, and then that's going to open it. There's some kind of gooseneck material in here that'll keep it. It's flexible, but it'll keep it in place when it's open. Now, when you open this up, you will see that there is a grid on there. I'm going to be talking about that later, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. Now, to remove it, there's a couple of Velcro straps. Be sure to hold the grid with 2 hands. It is fragile. Though when you first set it up, you'll leave that on until you are ready to remove it. So then you can kind of see what it looks like underneath. I'm going to set this to the side, and we will continue with the rest of the setup. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to connect the cable to the ballast. So for the cable, there's an end here. A male end is on the lighting fixture. Then you have to use this cable with the female end and connect the 2 pieces. And there's a little collar that you just rotate, and then that will lock the cable in place so that it's not going to come loose. You're going to do the same to the ballast unit. You're going to connect the cable to the ballast. You don't want to plug this thing in until it's connected to the lighting fixture. Same thing, you just rotate the collar. It will lock the cable in place. And then this is ready to be powered up. So we can just plug it in. Before I do power it, I need to make sure that this is set to the proper bulb size. There's a switch here for 4-foot and 2-foot. So it's already set to the 4-foot bank. And then there's 2 switches, 2 rocker switches. Press them, and then it'll turn on the individual lamps. And that is how we can set up the 4-foot fluorescent Kino Flow bank. If you want to use just 1 bulb, you can use just 1, or you can use 2. But you do want to make sure that you're using the proper bulb switch for the length of the tubes. Now, the Kino can be dimmed by using 1 bulb or 2, but we can also use this accessory, this grid. This works both to dim the light, but also to channel it. And again, this is what I had mentioned earlier. It just attaches with the Velcro straps. And then you will notice that the light is a bit more channeled, but it also has a dimming effect to the light source. The other thing about the Kino is it can be used both vertically, like you see here, or horizontally. To change it, you just need to loosen that lollipop, that ball joint, and then you can rotate it in the angle that you desire to have it. And then just make sure you lock down that lollipop. And once the ball joint is tight on that, then it's good to go. To raise and lower the C-stand, make sure you have a good hand on the top of the stand and loosen the knob, and then you can raise it or you can lower it. There is not an air cushion in the C-stand. So if you loosen it, it will come down very hard, and you want to make sure that you don't get hurt with that. If you need to rotate the angle of the light, you want to make sure that you loosen the column and then rotate it. And then when you're finished rotating it, then lock it down. It'll be easier to do the top one on this and change the rotation, because I'm not using the full extent of the height, than it would be to loosen this, hold the weight of it, and rotate it. And that is how to use the C-stand to raise and lower it with the Kino Flow, or anything else you would put on the C-stand. To break it down, it's the same thing, just in reverse. You will disconnect power, and then you can disconnect the cables. If you remove the grid earlier, you can put that back. That's going to make sure that everything is left in one place, and it also will protect the bulbs during storage and transport. And then you can go ahead and close it. Release the knob here so it comes out. Tighten that back down. To release the lollipop, there's a little pin here that if you pull it up, it's spring-loaded, and then rotate it, the lollipop will come off the back of the light. And that's how to set up and take down the Kino 4-foot bank.